Hello, everyone. Welcome to Faith and Fellowship. We're three guys based in Utah. I'm Kirk.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Lyric.
And the goal of our show is to share stories and beliefs from different people local to our area.
Our mission is to bring civil discourse and allow people who hold different faiths a platform to tell us what they believe.
The show's model consists of an interview episode and a follow-up response episode where we'll discuss the topics that were brought up with our guests in the initial interview and give our take from a biblical standpoint.
Full disclaimer, not all comments and opinions expressed by our guests represent our own opinions. Thank you guys for listening and enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Faith and Fellowship. This is a podcast produced by Art.city.church.
Came in too late with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
All right. The church is located in Springville, Utah.
Is it really, though? Is the church just a social construct?
Or as Heather would say, Springville.
Yeah, Heather. Shout out to Key Radio. So if you don't know, Key Radio.
Yeah, because Joel's your sidekick, right?
Our sponsor for today, keyradio.org.
If you guys like
away
actually,
free sponsorships to everyone.
To all 5 of our people who listen to this, if you want to become a sponsor, send Turkis an email.
I don't like that.
You don't like Turkis?
Papadopoulos04 at yahoo.com.
You just don't like it because you were called it as a kid, and then I magically one day just thought of it in my head, and I thought I was original.
Yeah, I don't like it.
All right.
I didn't like it then. I don't like it now.
Captain Kirk on X. Message Captain Kirk on X if you want to be an actual sponsor of this podcast.
There you go. That's fine. Well, how you guys feeling? I'm here, Pastor Kirk. You've heard Joel's voice. You've heard Lyric's voice. We do have a guest in the studio. We're going to get with him in just a second. We're glad he's here. But yeah, how are you guys feeling? How are things going on? Everything going okay? It's been a while since we've been in the studio.
Yeah, been working on getting my business up and going.
Has it been a while? Wasn't it last week?
Well, that's a week.
Ah.
Has it been? Was it a week?
It was a week, and we only did 1 episode last week. Usually we do 2 or 3.
How was that received?
The episode? It's not out yet.
Oh, that's right.
And because remember, you didn't get your guest.
Oh my! I have been trying. I'm starting to think they just don't exist when you need them.
Well, can we just say this? There are people that try, and there's people that get stuff done. I'm the person.
It's a 2-party tango. You know what I mean?
You're the person that tries.
Okay, all right.
Can we just say
I second that. I'll second that one.
I got Father Justin on here.
Do you want me to get the JW on here?
Good
he
luck.
could do it in like 2
Do you want me to get a Jehovah's Witness on here? I'll get a Jehovah's Witness on here.
Watch.
You're supposed to be the workhorse.
Next week.
They are like...
You're supposed to be the workhorse. You're supposed to be doing this, but I'll pick you up. I'll carry you on my back. It hurts because I'm carrying you a lot.
Good luck getting them to call you back, to text you back. I mean, at this point, the Jehovah's Witness don't even want to evangelize to me. I see them at the booth at school, and they turn around.
This is why you go to the Mother's Day brunch, and you just ask someone there to come on and talk.
What is Mother's Day brunch got Jehovah's Witness? They don't celebrate holidays.
Oh.
So David Anderson.
That's why we need one on. I don't know anything about him.
I at least know that much. I don't think they do.
We're going to go ahead and introduce David Anderson.
He's a Jehovah's Witness.
He's not a Jehovah's Witness. We have told you guys that our podcast is really it's really a twofold purpose. We want to hear stories from people that are and have been coming to Art City Church. You guys know this. If you're listening to this podcast, you could Google Christian podcast and you're going to see there's a bazillion of them now. So we're not trying to do something new or trying to take over the podcast arena. What we're trying to do is do something that's effective, something that's local, something that's going to be toward discipleship and just hearing people's stories, getting to know each other. So this is a local podcast produced by Art City Church for the reason of knowing the people that are coming here. And so we've also want to have people of different faiths, and that's kind of what we've been doing as a mixture. So add in there some episodes where we didn't have any one of those, and we
just kind of made it up as we went.
That'd be a lot harder to get on than you'd think.
Hey, those were some great episodes. I
mean,
they
were.
They're fun.
Well, we've had
breath of fresh air.
Kurt. We've had Father Justin. We've had
David, the Alphabet Man.
that was awesome.
Yeah, we want to have him back.
Yeah, we do.
Man.
David, if you're listening,
Yeah.
we want
Yeah, go
you.
back and listen.
And we need you.
we're not going to explain it on air. You got to go back and listen to that
you gotta
episode.
listen to it.
Let's just go.
Okay.
I think it's in season 1.
Once
maybe
again,
5 or
Jehovah's
6.
Witness, this is an outcry for help. Please come on our show so I don't look like a failure as a co-host.
Oh, you're already there.
I've been
it's too late for
trying.
that.
They don't respond.
It's too late for that.
I'll get it done.
He'll get it done
If
in
you
like
magically
10
happen to,
minutes.
I will be mind blown. Flabbergasted.
Now you have to just to prove him.
Oh, I
Yeah,
will.
good luck. If I get one on before you, I win.
That's not happening.
Win what? What's
You've
the
had
prize?
like 3 weeks. What do you mean? How
and
many
I've-
weeks do you need? What? You want a year? What do you want?
Next time they do one of their 3 baptismal services.
You're going to go to it?
Yeah, I'm just going to grab one.
Why don't you go?
It's at the school.
Go as a true seeker. I want to join the JWs.
They
And
don't-
say-
at this point, I don't think they want me joining.
No, they know you won't.
Because every time I reach out, hey, I filled out the contact. Sorry, this is not going to be a Jehovah's Witness
No, it's
diss
not.
or
No.
rant on them. We'd love to have you. We'd be honored to have a Jehovah's Witness on here. David Anderson, my man, Officer Dave.
So we're glad Dave's with us. David, let's see. When did we meet? It's been what? Probably about 2 years since we met.
Has it?
I don't know. Time flies, man. I would say probably the
Maybe like a year and a half.
yeah, maybe a year and a half. Maybe this coming August or something like that would be 2 years or something.
Yeah.
I think we first
Yeah,
met.
I think so.
David and I started kind of meeting up one-on-one, and then David started coming to the church, and he's been coming for about that amount of time. So we've known each other and are still getting to know each other. So thanks for coming in from the metropolis of American Fork.
Metropolis.
It is a good little ride. It's what from American Fork, about 25 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20, 25, depending on traffic.
Yeah. So
When he's not driving 110. I'm just kidding.
well, he does have
That's what the sirens are for.
he does have the Dodge Charger.
Now you're giving way too much information.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you tell us his license plate?
He does have the
credit card
Chevrolet
number.
Corvette
Chevrolet Corvette.
or Ford Mustang, one of those 3.
Maybe a Crown
He
Vic.
drives a white van and it just says free candy on this. Just kidding.
What? Where did that come from? Oh my goodness! You can't.
Well, I thought if I said that, no one would try and look for him.
Lyric, you said you wouldn't tell anybody.
Oh man. Well, David, we're glad you're here. We'll just start off with maybe just going back, talking to us a little bit about how where maybe you grew up. Did you grow up in Utah?
No, I grew up in Southern California. And then my family moved out here to Utah when I was maybe like 10 or 11.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah.
So, what particular city?
Most of my memories are from Marietta.
The metropolis of Marietta.
Yeah, I have no clue what's going on there.
That's not near where I'm from, I don't think.
We've got quite a few people that have moved from California to here in
Refugees.
some aspect.
Yeah.
Yang, who
Most of Utah.
we did his interview. They're actually in Georgia now, but he moved to California. Think about others: Dave and Jen, Lyric, David Anderson. Now, man, is it a mass exodus going on?
I wish, like, after me, they just kind of shut, the freeway down and didn't let any more in.
Well, yours would have been after David. He was already here.
Yeah, so after me, we already got David in. We got Yang at that point. We have Bob and Jen. Like, shut it down. Don't let any other Californians in here.
Oh, I forgot about Bob and Kim. Bob and Kim have some roots in California. They go to our church. He's a big USC fan. So anyway, that's crazy. So, what was the city again?
Marietta.
Marietta.
Yeah.
And so 10 or 11 years old, you guys, your family moves to what part of Utah?
Saratoga Springs.
Okay.
So my mom is a sign language interpreter, and so she found work out here. And then in California, my dad worked for the sheriff's department, And then we came out here. He started working for corrections at the prison.
So was that the primary reason? Was your mom's job, like to take a job?
It was a big factor, but you know, my oldest siblings were getting older, and it was really expensive in California, and so my mom wanted somewhere where we could live close to them.
Okay.
And still be able to afford it.
So so were you guys, when it comes to religion, were you guys part of the LDS church? Were you religious at all growing up?
Yeah, we were part of the LDS church all the way until I was, I think, maybe 13, around there. And then at that point, my older siblings moved out already, but then we just kind of stopped going. It's a decision that my parents made, and then left the decision up to the kids. And I was like, if I don't have to go, I'm not going to go. I'd rather be playing Xbox or whatever it is than going to church.
Oh, yeah. Just kidding.
So before we, because I'd like to talk about that, like the reason why, but I think one of the questions I have is Lyric talks about how, and I've heard others too talk about how the LDS church was different in California than it is here.
Very different.
Did you experience that too?
I was pretty young, so most of what I know is from my older siblings, but I want to say the culture here is much more extreme than it is in California. Yeah.
Just more laid back in California. You mean
Not
just
as
like
legalistic.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to wrap my mind just around that, because I've talked to you about that too. But does that just mean they're not enforcing what's already there, like the words of wisdom and things like that? Because you're still trying to do the temple recommend, and you're trying to still do all that stuff.
Well, I don't. This is his episode, but
Yeah,
to add a quick side note, at least in my experience, like, you know, there where being LDS is like not the majority. Like you kind of just are more go with the flow, more chill. Whereas I've heard stories here where, like, when CJ, our guest, was on the show, I mean, you couldn't go to somebody else's house if they had a coffee machine, you know?
So you wouldn't have experienced something like that in California?
No.
You
Like
yourself wouldn't have drunk coffee, your family, but you would have went to a families that did.
Yeah, that was normal. I remember my oldest sister, she had a friend that had a mohawk. That was
seriously.
Super tall.
People
and he was still allowed to, like, serve, like, what's it called again?
In the bishopric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, no, he wasn't in that, but he was still
You had a bishop that had a mohawk?
No. But he was still allowed to, like, pass out communion and stuff like that, and whereas that wouldn't be allowed here. I would say that here they're a lot more legalistic about those things.
So the moral of the story is, if you're part of the LDS church and you've always wanted a mohawk, move to California.
Well, no, I mean, like, yeah, seriously, like in my ward, people had like colored hair, like blue hair, neon hair.
Yeah.
A guy in my in the bishopric was fully tatted up, like sleeves and everything. I remember when I was a little kid, like, because I grew up in a more legalistic home with my father, like, someone who was my young men's leader, like, I remember I got into his car one time and saw like California lottery tickets. And it's just, you know what I mean? Like, are the LDS people in California like drinking and fully disavowing the word of wisdom? I'd say no, at least not in my experience, but it was definitely a more laid back kind of California culture compared to here. But anyways.
So what do you remember specifically, or have you had any conversations with your parents about why that decision was made when they came to Saratoga Springs when you were 13, that you guys stopped going to the LDS church? Was it just like they woke up and it was like, hey guys, we're not going anymore, you guys don't have to go? Was there a reason that was tied to that?
Yes, but at the time I didn't know.
Right.
That's not really something they articulated to me at the time. All I knew is that I didn't have to go anymore, and I could stay at home, and we were allowed to watch movies on Sunday and play Xbox on Sunday, which we weren't allowed to do before.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But
Were you allowed to watch Hallmark movies on Sunday? Because we were allowed to watch Hallmark movies, and the only video game we could play was Madden on GameCube, and it was with all of my step siblings had to be playing.
I think we could watch movies, but only as a family.
Yeah.
But I don't remember at one point I found out a little bit later is that there was a lot of things about it that just didn't sit right with my mom. And then she had been, thinking about those things for I don't know how many years. But it was years. It was quite a while.
So probably going back to the California time frame.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then my dad's just kind of a go with the flow kind of guy. So I think at one point he told my mom he went on his mission just because that was what was expected of him, and just kind of went through the motions. And then, yeah, there was a lot of things that just didn't sit right with my mom, and then she finally made the decision to stop. And that's something that's really hard to do if that's the only culture that you've known as far as that goes. So you're leaving your entire community.
Yeah, and that's one reason why we say why we're doing what we're doing. When we talk about starting a church and giving the gospel, it starts individually, right? I mean, the gospel has to be an individual thing where somebody believes it. But I think we're finding out more and more the longer we're here is that we need a community of Christians so that people like your mom and dad that are coming, that are questioning, if somebody believes in anything, but specifically like we're talking about the LDS church, if somebody believes that because they've read and they've studied and they've asked questions or whatever, they've sought, with their heart, the doctrine, and they're like, this is where I want to be. That's great. That's awesome. But what I'm saying is there seems to be people out there that we keep running into. They're like, I don't know about the doctrine. I don't know about the church. Something has caused me to doubt, or something is causing me to do something. But because of the social pressures of the fact that there's so many and so many connections through that they continue to go in or remain in the church, or they become some type of secret go with the motion type of member of the LDS church, but they don't want to take that step. And that to me,
they're culturally LDS.
Yeah. To me, that is like, nobody should be either forced physically or mentally or socially to be part of anything. It ought to be a volunteer. I believe this because I've been persuaded to believe that this is the truth. And so it seems like, is that something that you would say your of course, you just said your mom and that would have been tough for them, but do you remember that being tough for you guys at that age, even though you were at that age, being in Saratoga Springs?
You mean like the culture and when we left?
Yeah, like you guys stopped going.
Yeah. Yeah, so my brother and I actually lost all of our friends because, we would try to hang out, and then our friends would be like, sorry, I can't hang out with you anymore. My mom said I can't because you're not going to church.
Because you've got a coffee machine in your house.
We still didn't have coffee then. My parents don't really drink coffee. But, we weren't a part of that community anymore. So then we were just kind of outcasts. And by some of our family for a time too. Because if you had never known what the LDS gospel was and you reject it, that's one thing. But if you know what it is and then you leave, that's like that's worse than just rejecting it flat out, because you know it and then you leave. So you're on like another level of however you would say it. I don't know, but
so you feel like that was a tough socially growing up that affected you, like being kind of.
It did quite a bit. And then because I wasn't a part of that culture anymore, when friends were hanging out or I was at school or whatever, I didn't really fit into a lot of the conversations. and I didn't really know how to participate, or I wasn't included, or I would try and say something, and then I would just kind of be dismissive and and stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever said this story on air. There's a good chance I have, because I repeat my stories very often.
Hey everyone. The beginning of Pastor Kirk's story was lost in editing. To catch you up, he starts to tell us of a time when he played basketball at a local LDS ward. During a break between games, he brings up LDS General Conference, trying to make conversation. Here's the rest of the story.
And no Greek Orthodox. Maybe we should do our own, and that would be an idea.
Man, I think that would be a great idea.
Get the Greek Orthodox, if we can get a representation from the LDS, Evangelical, and I'll get the JW, and we'll.
I'm doing it.
But anyway,
Chocolate Prophet.
Well, I can't get in touch with him. I don't know what's going on with Phil. Phil, if you're listening to this,
Come on our podcast.
Really quick, what Kirk doesn't want to tell you is the reason it was awkward is because Kirk just shoots lights out from the 3-point line constantly.
That was not why it was like.
They were like, we don't want to talk to this kid because he's like a white Allen Iverson on the court, and like our church is literally like the court's on fire because Kirk's like just
no. But
Kirk's very good at basketball.
To finish my story,
He's better than us.
He's low.
To finish my story,
he could put him like a minor league basketball player.
Oh my goodness!
Salt Lake Stars, hit him up.
Sponsor this half hour.
Okay, to finish your story.
So, anyway, during the break between games, I just mentioned it, and dude, I got total silence. Like nobody even answered me. Like to the point where I was like, I don't think I said that loud enough. So I said it again louder.
Yeah.
And they ignored me. Somebody like started a whole nother conversation.
Yep.
And I'm just saying that because that's real. And maybe, our listeners, if you're here locally or if you're not, maybe you're outside the state and you've never been here. That's a real social pressures and awkwardness and all that is real here that is different than even outside of here, even if you're part of the LDS church. But if you're not part of the LDS church, you're in the outer circle. You're not in the know of a lot of what's going on with culture. And so we are trying to change that, right? We're here creating another culture.
And to be clear, this culture that we're trying to create is not an exclusive culture. I would say, from what we've been talking about, the LDS culture tends to be an exclusive culture where if you leave or if you were never in it, good luck, but
right.
But the culture that we are trying to culminate is not exclusive like that, but rather, oh, you don't believe what I believe? Oh, you have a coffee maker at your home, oh, let's hang out. Let's do it anyway. Let's fellowship, let's talk, let's whatever. And this culture doesn't have to be made up of people that believe to a T what we believe.
I don't want to fellowship with you if you shoot like Kirk. I already have to deal with him making us all look bad. I don't want to deal with another person like that.
What is it with you coming in talking about Kirk playing basketball?
Dude, I want to play basketball so bad.
We're gonna miss it tomorrow.
I know. Anyways,
I don't think that the culture is intentionally exclusive. I think that when there's in Utah County, there's just such a concentrated amount of LDS people. I think that when something like what you were talking about is presented, it's just awkward and they don't really know how to approach it or whatever it may be, just because they're not used to encountering things like that. So then it's easier just to be like, oh, he's talking about weird stuff. Well, I'm going to talk about this instead.
Yeah. So your family moves to Saratoga Springs and stops going to the LDS church. Did you guys go to any other church while you were in you were a teenager, or so basically nobody after you left the LDS church? You guys pretty much just didn't do anything.
Yeah,
okay.
Didn't do anything. My mom still believed in God. I don't know about my dad. I was just nothing for a little while, and then I just became an atheist after that.
How long after that? I mean, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think what we're going to try to do, because we're kind of coming up on the end of this episode, is maybe you could lead us into a little bit of why you were questioning God, and then maybe next episode we can get into what happened for you to, to be drawn to Him.
Yeah, for sure. I think after we stopped going, it was maybe between 6 months to a year, where I was still in middle school, maybe, I don't know, 7th or 8th grade. It's just at the bus stop hanging out with my buddy, and I wasn't normally at that stop, but I was bored, so I just walked down to the next one, so I could hang out with my buddy. And his little brother was riding his bike. I don't remember how old he was, maybe 4 or 5, and his mom was across the street just watching. And one of the neighbors that day, the lady decided to let her teenage son, who was, I think he was 14, drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good.
We're already off to good decisions. And then as he was backing out of the driveway, he just kind of floored it and ran over my friend's little brother. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, he ended up passing away. And this is a very, very devout LDS family. And so my thought process after that was just kind of like, you do all of these things for your God, and look what's happened. You do all these things for him, and he's left you. Your son is dead, and my friend's little brother was dead, and so that's kind of what was the beginning of events that kind of led me towards atheism.
Wow.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
we'll pick that up in
Cliffhanger.
part 2. Yeah, it's a good cliffhanger. I mean,
Yeah, join us next time. We're excited about hearing, all of our stories are different, but they're similar in the fact that God used circumstances and people and ultimately his word and grace to draw us to himself. And that's what Christianity is about. It's about God's gospel. And so we excited about, figuring that, hearing that story and how you went from that to now being a believer. So join us next time as we finish this interview with David.
and as always, if you have questions, feel free to email us. Check out our church at artcity.church. You can critique Pastor Kirk's sermons on our YouTube.
Yeah, you can do that. We're going to try to get Lyric some coffee or something because he's about to go to sleep.
He's dozing off over here, only after holding my hand twice.
But on the next episode, my story does get a little bit darker, but then it does get a lot better.
Yeah.
Just by the redeeming grace of God in my life and showing me grace that I don't deserve, and
That's
bringing
awesome.
me out
Praise
of
the Lord.
everything that it brought me out of. So
Well, we're excited to hear it.
yeah.
We will see you next time on Faith and Fellowship. So if you get closer to the mic, you won't hear that as much. You hear just more you.
I'll try not to belch into it.
Listen, I have nothing against anybody, all right? Don't put, you can't put that in. You really can't. If you get to, no, this is my call. Because if you guys get to edit out the stuff you want to edit out, this is where you promised me, because you did it, you've done it.
Just talk, Lyric.
We're
Anyways.
raw. We're raw here.
No, we're not raw here. We bleep things out and we cut things out. We're not raw.
We're raw when it comes to you.
Oh, I already have a new series in the works called
Lyric
Silly
Story Time.
Stories with Lyric.
Let's get
Do you want
started.
to do intro?
Sure.
All right.
Let's go. What are we waiting for?
You to stop.
You.
I'm gonna grab a water really quick.
Are you being serious?
I'm kidding.